All right, we are live for Fireside Chat number 93. Apologies about the missing Fireside Chat in Court of the High Kings last week. Of course, I was out of town and unable to do those. But we are back now. Thanks everyone for holding down the fort while I was gone. Appreciate that. I was trying to, keep in touch in Discord somewhat, but it's definitely limiting when you don't have a real solid computer. Got my Chromebook, but in a lot of ways, it's kind of just a phone, basically, a big phone. So it's challenging to do a lot of stuff like codex entries and stuff like that I wanted to work on. The big thing I need to work on myself is the song for Yule. I do want to apologize that it's just super late. Um, I kind of tried to start on it early, but just this and that have happened between my guitar being out of commission for quite a while and me being out of town for a week. Um, it's just, yeah, it stinks. Definitely going to try to get it done as soon as possible. I'm obviously able to work on it and everything now. So yeah, I'll try to get that finished. So yeah, the prize that was promised can come out actually. But yeah, hopefully it'll be good. People will like it. I definitely like what I have so far. To give some insight, I've kind of one of the problems I've had is that my Mac that I record on is not really good enough. For the tracks I've got running and stuff like that, it just crashes a lot, which can make it really troublesome when anytime you record or play anything. It just crashes after like 1.5 seconds, which is kind of a bummer. But you can mess with some stuff to kind of make it easier on the computer and try to avoid that. So hopefully it won't be a terrible problem. But yeah, that's kind of my main focus just because that's so late. That's got to be a number one priority. Thanks to everyone working hard on the wiki. Shout out to Solet, of course. He just made a huge number of pages. It's really coming together. I think there's a couple. One of the big things we want is to try to have some kind of list of every page, like a list of the categories or something like that, so it's easy to browse. I don't think we found a way to do that just yet, but that's something we'd like to do. Um, Obviously, one of the big priorities I wanted was a page for every house and every family. I haven't had a good way to check because we don't have the aforementioned list of every pages, but I've seen quite a lot, so I think that might be already done. So yeah, again, thanks to everyone working on that. I just actually jumped in just about an hour ago and started making a couple more edits to the House Dippity page. So I'm excited to get back into that and work some more on it and really make it a very fully functioning, professional-looking wiki for sure. But I think it's already definitely taking off, which I'm super happy with. I just sort of spur of the moment, a couple months back, month or two even, just said, hey, let's go and make a wiki. Or rather, let's turn this wiki, which was one that Eodor made a few years ago, into something really solid. And yeah, I think it's definitely well on the way. Other than that, I do have some house dippity stuff I want to work on, but I think at this point, just because I don't want to have, be juggling too many things and then nothing gets done, that's going to kind of go on the back burner. Those of you in the house dippity discussions and whatnot may know what we've already talked about, and feel free to share more, come up with more ideas, that kind of thing. But I think in general, it's just going to be difficult to put too much time into that in the near future. So I'm going to kind of shelve that for a little bit. Still going to stay on my to-do list and everything like that, but it's just not going to be a big focus right now. I think the first order of business is the song, and next is probably going to be focusing on these tests to both the officer tests where basically you take the test and you need to pass in order to be eligible for a given officer rank. Probably it will be you'll need one to make Berserker, but not Raider will be my guess. That's kind of my current thinking. Open to feedback, suggestions, and any of all this stuff. Um, Specifically referring to the officer test. I'm going to have a test for being eligible to recruit as well. Um, and one thing is I am probably going to have everyone take it. So if you are an officer and you haven't taken the recruitment test, you'll have to take it before you can recruit, which I'm aware might seem kind of funny for people who have obviously already recruited and or are obviously already recruited very good members and demonstrated their knowledge of the recruitment book and everything like that, or recruitment guide rather. But I think it makes sense to have everyone take it. I mean, I'll take it. And I think also that will give the chance to really see what kind of results. For example, let's say everyone's failing, even like veteran members. Okay, something might be wrong with the test. So I think that will be a good way because if we just grandfather everyone in already, I think it will not really be a good way to test the test, as it were. And yeah, so that's my plan is to try to put those together, but those are going to be after the song, just because those are not something I set a specific deadline for. I had the foresight to know that the song might be delayed, and I never gave a specific date for it, but it doesn't change the fact that Yule ended, the tournament and whatnot results ended a little under a month ago, and obviously I wanted to have the song out quite soon after that, and it's been delayed way more than I'd want, so that's unfortunate. But regardless, yeah, those are kind of the focuses. I still need what I asked of every warband be done by the end of the month. There's still some missing. We need warband advertisements. You can see it in the warbands channel under WAS Seeker. We need more of those. I don't have them all. I was supposed to have them all by the end of the month. So if you haven't written one, you're super late. Please get me one ASAP, and or get me an update at the very least. And yeah, there should be goals pinned in every warband channel as well. It's another thing. I'll try to message in the all thing about this stuff as well. But yeah, need to see those updates. And let's see what else have we got here. List of main games pinned was brought up, I think, by someone. I want to say it was Varmather. If not, my apologies, but I think it was Varmather who brought that up, which is a good idea. Having a list of our primary games, I think that's something not too difficult that I'll probably try to put together quite soon. Other than that, I have been kind of doing a lot of very far-reaching brainstorming in terms of clan organization. I don't really want to change anything anytime soon. I think the current setup we have, it's been more or less the same since the first Viking era, which we're approaching the 2-year anniversary of in 1 month and 2 days, actually. Um, I think since November, I've really been cracking down on the whole system and making sure we're actually enforcing rules and we're holding people to their responsibilities and that kind of thing, which is seeing a lot of demotions, frankly, as everyone will be well aware. But I think that's really important. I mean, it's all good to be nice, but we have to have a system that we actually stick to, or there's no point in having a system, no point in having the paperwork and documentation to back it up, no point in having the rules. So I think they just have to be enforced. It's not to say there's no flexibility. I feel like I've given people a lot of chances and flexibility with those kinds of things. But at the end of the day, if I ask for something to be done, or you have a job to do, or a duty, or something like that, it just has to get done. And if it doesn't, then I mean that's an issue basically. I I think I'm generally pretty chill about a lot of stuff, but uh, I think this is just an area where I have to be very black and white with it, basically. I think I have been flexible. If you're on a leave of absence or you're not able to do something, let me know, make a post, whatever. That's not an issue at all. But you do have to make the effort of if you're going to be gone or you just can't get something done that you're supposed to, you can't handle your responsibilities, you need to make it known to me and hopefully other people too, like post in the all thing, because the whole point is that the whole officer staff is able to help one another. I mean, I created all this setup so that like Thanes, for example, can go to other warbands and help perform duties. The idea is that collectively we are more than capable. I mean, I think individually we should be able to handle our duties, and collectively we can handle anything that comes up. Emergencies, crazy stuff happens, you can't get it done. We've got people to help you out. That's the whole idea. But for that to work, we just need to be communication. So people need to be reading stuff that I'm posting and all thing and announcements, and we need to be reading everything everybody else is posting in those too, and communicating whenever we need help. and just like asking questions, stuff like that. Like, I don't know if people are like embarrassed or just forgetting or whatever to like ask, like, oh, how do I do this? But um, for the most part, there shouldn't be things like somebody posts a report with an old template or something like this. Like, just like double check stuff, like, or just like message me or other officers and be like, hey, can you like look at this, or like, how do you do this, or how did you do this? You know, what's the proper way to do this? Am I doing this right? It's totally fine. Like, I'm not trying to say like it's everyone's job to be 100% perfect on the first go, but it is everyone's job to make the effort to like communicate and try and show that they like made that effort basically. So one thing that helps with that is just getting stuff done early as well. Like if you post a report on the 22nd or something, I'm going to have time to look at it. Everyone's going to have time to look at it and see. And you can always edit stuff and change stuff later. Like, don't be worried. Like, oh, like I don't want to update this report. Like, you can go back and update your report later if you want to. I don't want people to like fall back on that. It's like, well, I'll just post a blank report and then update it later. That doesn't count. But like, there's certainly you shouldn't be afraid to do it early because it helps a lot. But yeah, I think that's a little rant over basically. Yeah, I guess jumping back to what I was first saying about brainstorming ideas for the clan. Like I said, I want this whole system that we sort of have really been taking seriously since November to continue to roll on and see how that works and everything like that. But I don't think it ever hurts to kind of wonder about potential changes a ways down the road. So that is something I've been looking at too. So if you have some crazy idea, I mean, feel free to throw it my way, and I can write it down and it might come back up later on, of course. I think the chief thing is generally things have not been going well with warbands. I think that's pretty obvious to everybody. So I'm certainly looking at potential, solutions and other ideas and stuff like that. But I think there's something to be said for the fact that we can just work through it. Honestly, I think if we just put in the work, it's doable. But I think for the time being, we need to do some more reshaping, I'd call it, wherein warbands that are just kind of failing, maybe they're just kind of too far gone, and we need to shut down or merge or transfer all that kind of stuff to just kind of remobilize, if that makes any sense. Because we shouldn't have this, framework of, oh, all these warbands are great companies, but actually half of it is just dead. It's like a tree that's just most of the tree is dead, and we cut off the dead branches, I guess, is kind of a good metaphor. I feel like that's kind of the process we're in a little bit, wherein we just have to kind of reorganize and reshape things, like I said previously, based on activity and performance and everything like that. And I feel good that the system we're using right now is really capable of doing that because it's just really clear what you have to do. And if you don't do it, okay, then it just kind of fixes itself, basically. If your warband fails to meet expectations, it's moved, it's decommissioned, etc. I think it just kind of it solves a lot of issues on its own, which is really nice for me at least, because it's hard when everything is very nebulous and vague, where you're just kind of sitting at the top and looking down, and you just have to kind of make a judgment call, like, should there be a demotion? Should this warband change? I don't know. I mean, at some point, yeah, you can't avoid the judgment calls, but just having a system that does some of that work for you is definitely a big help. Yeah, that's it. I think that's about it. Let's see. Yeah, that should be about it. Just to summarize, getting the song done ASAP. Gonna focus on recruitment license, officer tests, and stuff right after that. Some additions on the back burner, some house deputy stuff, and of course, codex and wiki stuff are sort of. I feel like that's something you can always work on. Just hammer out codex one page on the wiki or a couple of codex entries is easy. So that's something I've been doing a little bit from time to time. If anyone wants to help, of course, totally encourage it. Scribes Guild looking at you. I've not seen too much from some of the scribes, so I guess I'll throw out a warning if you're in the Scribes Guild and you haven't sent any messages or contributed to anything at all in quite a long time. You might be removed. It's not like end of the world. You can be re-added, but As much as the guilds aren't super strict units in the chain of command where you have strict responsibilities, I think it's important, at least for the guilds that I'm a leader of, that people who are not interested in helping the guild, I mean, not a huge reason to be there really. So, yes, this is your forewarning. Yeah, that said, yeah, this has been Fireside Chat number 93. I think we're all set here. Thanks everyone watching live, watching the VOD. We will be back, Court of the High King here in mere moments, and it's gonna be the only Court of the High King this week. And next week should be back for Fireside Chat at the standard time of 5 p.m. Pacific. I'll announce Court of the High King for next week as well. So see everybody then.